Peace. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. For those of you who don't know, it's your boy Vic Sling Hope. And I got another video for y'all. And in this video, I'm going to be discussing like 4 of the things that I did when I was at my lowest point, right? And I even, in some cases, I even contemplated like committing suicide, right? Like, yeah, because some days I didn't think I was going to make it. And of course, this was like when I was in prison, right? When I was confined, when I was caged, like some type of animal, like some type of beast. When sometimes you can't even use the phone, when your friends is not there, your family, your loved ones. So at some point throughout my incarceration, it got hard, right? So I'm gonna, life is crazy, right? And as hard as it is, like a lot of us be fronting, we be sitting here acting like, oh, like, that's why we self-medicate. We smoke, we drink, pop pills, sip lean. We do all of these things to self-medicate because we can't deal with life as it comes. So just want to tell you some of the things that I did that helped me, and hopefully they might be able to help somebody out there or some of the people that watch. So one of the things that I did was, when I was in prison, I would read my scripture, and I still do that. This is something that I read. Now, if you're not religious, yeah, whatever you read, right? Like, but this is just something that I did. I read scripture because in the Quran, it gave me so many different examples about people who went through certain things, kind of like I did, right? And give you examples of Joseph, right? He was locked up, he was incarcerated. And gave you examples of like Moses killed the man and he was being persecuted. It just tells you so many different examples, right? Abraham, they try to kill Abraham. Christ, like, it's just so many examples. Even if you want to believe that, like, all right, these are made up stories, at the end of the day, like, this is something that helped me, right? To read the stories of men that were persecuted, that were incarcerated, that were in a place where they needed help. Some of them was even in distress. So this is something that helped me, and I preferably like reading it in the daytime and at night. It's always good, like the first thing that you read in the morning is something positive or some type of scripture, something connected to God, and at nighttime when you go to sleep. So this is some of the things that I did. I also used to read throughout the day, but like in the morning and the night is very important, like what you feed your brain in those times. Another thing that I did was I maintained a physically fit body. I worked out. A lot of times we know how it goes. Like when you feel better, when you look better, you feel better about yourself, right? So working out was one of the things that I did. Not only because I was in prison and I needed to be physically strong, but I also liked looking a certain way. But when we work out, we produce testosterone. Like, it makes us feel good. So it puts us in a good mood, right? So I think that's also important to exercise, whether you're jogging, whether just exercise, because it's going to make you feel better. Another thing that I did was I avoided being around pessimistic people, or I avoided being around people who were talking about nothing. I was very mindful about what I fed my brain. And a lot of times when you're around people who are not talking about positive things, who are not talking about just being better. Like a lot of these dudes wasn't even talking about being better. They wasn't talking about stopping crime. Like when they got, like, no, they was gonna continue doing crime when they got home. They was gonna continue to be abusive. They was gonna continue to do certain things, right? So I stopped being. I didn't put myself around people that were just gonna be talking about the same thing, or reminiscing on how they was running down on people on the block, or shooting people, or abusing their girls, or just doing certain things. I avoided those people like the plague, right? So that's another thing that helped me. The last thing that I would say is I bombarded myself with positive things, right? Positive thoughts. And that, we don't know how far that goes a long way, right? To every time you have a negative idea in your head, it's very important to eradicate it and replace it with something positive. It's very, very, very important to do that. And that's one of the things that I always did. Like, when I thought negative thoughts, I always thought about positive things. And that's another thing in how the Quran helps you, right? Because, at least for me, because when you have a negative thought in your mind and you don't eradicate it, it gets stored in your subconscious mind. And your subconscious mind a lot of times be the one who be operating for a lot of us, right? Our fears are stored there. our worries, a lot of things are stored in our subconscious mind that we don't even really know is there. So it's very important that you kind of like replace those thoughts with positive things. So if I thought something negative, I will always try to replace it with something positive. Because yeah, like it was a tough place for me, and some days I didn't think I was gonna make it, and and I kind of like became a man in there. I became grounded in who I was, because there's nobody there for you. There's nobody there for you, and this is the things that some individuals not gonna talk about. They're not gonna tell you about the wet pillows. They're not gonna tell you about how they felt suicidal. They're not gonna tell you how they felt abandoned. They're not gonna tell you how they felt hurt. They're not gonna tell you these stories. Because they want to act like they so strong, and there's nothing wrong with having low points. Most people have low points, right? Some way or another, but you have to confront those moments. You have to meet them head on, because if you don't do that, they're gonna keep coming up. So I've been to my lowest point. I've been by myself. Like 50 said in the song, right? He said, "Locked up, I was in the box by myself." That shit is real. You be by yourself. You know, couldn't call my mama to come get me. And part of being a man is, my mom will always be there for me, right? Because that's what mothers do. But I wasn't calling my mother, because part of being a man and growing up is not calling your mama every time you get into trouble. Sometimes you gotta figure that shit out yourself. And that's just what I did. I didn't really call my mom. I didn't bother her for money. I didn't do none of that. I barely bother anybody for money. So I just think I got real grounded in who I'm supposed to be. I did these 4 things that I just described to y'all. I worked out. I read my scripture, and it made me hopeful. And there's another study. There's also a study that says that religious people tend to live longer than people who are not religious, and they tend to be able to deal with calamities better than people who are not religious. Now, this is not me trying to convince nobody. I'm just telling you what they're saying out there based on research and stats, right? So, and I think that a lot of times that really helped me throughout my journey, and moments when I felt suicidal. I knew I couldn't do that because Islam forbids that, right? It says do not kill yourself, right? There's also narrations about suicide, right? That you will be punished in the hellfire for that. But also the stories, right? The stories in the Quran of men who suffered, who were at their lowest points, and God made a way for them. Those stories was the ones that resonated with me. Those stories were the one that was like, yo, this shit's gonna pass, man. Those were the stories that I remember, or those are the stories that I held on to. Those are the stories that gave me courage. Those are the stories who was like, nah, like I'm gonna get over this. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna get over this. I'm gonna make it. I'm gonna be good. Like, so they gave me courage, and I also thought about what I was gonna do I mentioned positive thoughts, right? I thought about what I was gonna do when I was gonna go home. I thought about giving back to my community, and that was because of the Quran. That made me think about that, right? Because at first I was just thinking about going home, minding my business, and just getting away from niggas. Yeah, I know who I'm talking about when I say niggas. But the point was that, yeah, like it made me think about other things. It made me think about how do I give back. It made me think about how do I prevent young men like myself ending up in this situation, right? How do I prevent young men from being abused and misused by older men? Or how do I try to like give them advice and tell them like, yo, this is just not it. It's not what you think it is. Like, how do I go about that? So those thoughts, me putting a plan together, not saying that what I'm doing now was the part of the plan, but just me sitting there and thinking about, yo, I can't wait till I get home. Like, I can't wait till I see my mother. Like, I can't wait to, I practice Islam in the street. Like, I can't wait to do this, that. Like, those things made me feel hopeful, that I would go home and I would do this and I would do that. And, because we feel good about doing good things, right? So I just think like those positive thoughts in my mind, like, I already had planned what I was going to do the first day I got home. I was like, I'm going to go to the mosque. I'm going to go do this. I'm going to do that. So I was literally planning what I was going to do when I got out. Like, and it was a whole different life than from the life that I used to live. So those positive thoughts and me thinking about helping people when I got home was the things that also added to my drive, aside from the religion and working out and avoiding negative energy. So hopefully whatever I said is beneficial. If anybody out there struggling with some of these things, man, just know that like just fortify yourself, create a support system for yourself. And there's no better support system than believing in yourself. Because at the end of the day, I don't believe in really relying on people. Not saying that it doesn't help, but I think before anybody can motivate you, before anybody can push you, before anybody can be there for you, you need to be there for yourself. Because you need you. You can't do nothing for nobody or for yourself if you ain't there for yourself. So hopefully that's something beneficial that benefits people. And if you need help, extra help, seek the help, man. Like, go see somebody, go talk to somebody, or a professional. I'm just sharing with y'all what I did that worked for me. So let me know your thoughts. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Y'all stay blessed. Peace.